I guess a good starting point would maybe to ask you, Darryl, for folks that particularly in Europe and the UK, maybe not so familiar with Cradlepoint, if you can give us a bit of the background, because I know you've got a pretty strong pedigree history in the United States and elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a great entry, because Cradlepoint is actually a well-known brand in the US. It's a company founded in about 2006, and to date, 28,000 customers and growing. And with the global expansion outside of the US, we're already homologated and licensed in about 50 countries already. We've got about 2 million routers under subscription, which is pretty good going and growing steadily. And I think more importantly, we're in about 4,500 public safety agencies, which also tells a story about the technology and where the importance of it is in the world. So that's a good thing. And until about 2020, Cradlepoint had a small team of people based in the UK, actually. And they were working with Westbase, who anchored our presence in the region. Ericsson acquired Cradlepoint on the 1st of November 2020. And one of the reasons that they actually acquired Cradlepoint is for access to the enterprise. So Ericsson's a strong carrier infrastructure provider. And with the advent of 5G and the realization that enterprises are going to capitalize on this new technology, Ericsson had no history or pedigree of servicing the enterprise market. When they took a look at Cradlepoint, they said, wow, that's a go-to-market model that they've never entertained. And they realized the power of getting the 5G technology to the people who are going to use it, which is the large enterprises. And we also had to deal with Brexit in between. So we've got an EU entity and we've got a UK entity, but that's panned out pretty well. The US business has been highly successful, strong market share, strong presence in the market. And in Europe, this has been fantastic for us because we can leverage the processes, we can leverage the programs, we can leverage the use cases, and we've been able to get out the blocks really, really fast. We haven't had to sort of go and invent anything too dramatic. We've had to adapt and localize for Europe, but at least the structure and the behind infrastructure is actually there for us to capitalize on. So that's a sort of short canned history of who we are and how we got to Europe.
Yeah, and you referenced 5G there, but I'm pretty sure that you sort of further back in your history, LTE and 4G. So I guess enterprise wireless LAN would be the sort of catch-all that describes your technology, and that's clearly been much of the basis of your success. And I'm just wondering, sort of, if you can tell us a bit about those solutions, and also, are there any particular industry sweet spots, or is it very much across, all sectors?
Yeah, the evolution from 3G to 4G, LTE to 5G is absolutely able to be mapped and plotted. And right now we're at the infancy of the 5G adoption. So Cradlepoint has been absolutely instrumental in the 3G, then the 4G, LTE, and now leading the way into the 5G market. Cradlepoint solutions are actually all around us. There's hardly an industry type that would not benefit from a wireless 5G solution. Actually, the biggest asset and biggest differentiator we have is our cloud-based management solution called NetCloud Manager. Lots of people can make 5G or 4G access devices, but I think the differentiator is the ability to manage an enterprise class management platform, which is what large enterprises who will consume this 5G technology will need. So NetCloud Manager is a clear differentiator, and the adoption by enterprises has been fantastic. And what do enterprises want? They want to understand more about this wireless WAN. They want the ability to extend the edge. They want the ability to be agile. They want the ability to put things in moving things like vehicles, for example. They want to capture the wave of IoT adoption, where they can attach and manage so many different things. So this is the reach and the agility of the 5G and the 4G and now the 5G solutions is absolutely immense. And if you think of the market itself, the market is actually moving, and we're at the bottom of the curve, adopting this and bringing out the leading edge technology. But a traditional edge network is transforming. The focus used to be on a piece of hardware. it's now delivering a full solution as a service. So now you could add your video cameras, or you could add all sorts of management things which customers are needing. It used to be traditional product selling. Here's a 4G or a 3G access point. It's become a predictable recurring revenue opportunity, which is great for our partners. It used to be a static network topology, and now it's a dynamic network topology. And there's a funny story, many years ago, we were told we always had to be careful where and how we access the internet, never get into a car with a stranger, never order food from a stranger, and be careful, don't pay anything across the internet. Well, here we are in 2022, and guess what? We can access anything from everywhere. We get in cars with strangers, we get food delivered by strangers, and we pay with cards right across the internet. How the world has dramatically changed. And now, in fact, it's becoming more mainstream, where previously LTE was perhaps used as a failover, whereas now you're starting to see enterprises use wireless WAN or 5G connectivity as primary. And that's a big step. When you cut the cord, you do away with the cable, and you get onto the cellular connectivity. It's a great trajectory we're on. So perhaps the easiest way to summarize is we have branch devices, either for primary connectivity or failover. We have mobile or in-vehicle. The vehicle is an office these days, it's becoming an office. And you have the enterprise IoT, which is harnessing the power of 5G.
Okay, and in terms of, you referenced, you have had some sort of dealings with Europe, a bit of presence in the UK, and you mentioned our good friend Brexit, which I'm sure we all are still enjoying the fallout from. But what was it that switched you on? How, I guess, in simple terms, how did the partnership with Westbase-io, again, I think you mentioned you had some, historically some relationship with them, but what's caused this sort of moving it to the next level, if you like, or creating this firm partnership?
Well, it's all about forward-thinking, early adopter, and Westbase was that. A forward-thinking, early adopter, value-added distributor who saw the opportunity and who pioneered the transition from 3G to 4G. And they obviously had the foresight as to where the market was going. And they took the Cradlepoint brand from nothing to where it is today, certainly in the UK and into certain parts of Europe. So yeah, a value-added distributor who understood the market and have opened up the market for us in the absence of Cradlepoint. Now that it's more formal and we're deploying, we've hired about 120 people in the last 12 months into Europe. We've established legal entities in most European countries so we can hire people and pay people. And Westbase has been behind us all the way. And now we're starting to work to develop the market further together with Westbase. So all in all, a good partnership.
Okay, and maybe Lee, if I can sort of flip the question and ask it from your perspective. Clearly, you've had an existing relationship with Cradlepoint, but what was it in particular that made you decide to, I guess, ramp it up? And if I'm correct, it's not just the UK, but it's in across mainland Europe as well. Is that right?
That's right. So I mean, really, we pursued the Cradlepoint relationship around 9 to 10 years ago, and this was really at a time when 3G was still the dominant technology here in UK Europe. But what we did is we recognised that there was a need to bring in a 4G solution as these networks were starting to become more prevalent. So the MNOs, the mobile network operators, were starting to introduce and do launch plans. So it was very exciting, and we've always been very careful about the solutions we opt for, but also to represent. And those solutions really have always been key to having a cloud management platform, as Darryl's mentioned, and this is really a core requirement for us. And our opportunities are always for distributed enterprise. So the ability to remotely manage that router in the field is key to our deployment success. And although the cloud management is very common today, back when we were looking at 4G manufacturers, vendors, it wasn't something that every vendor had invested in. And those solutions that had started to introduce were very, very limited, very basic. So we identified Cradlepoint as hitting our requirements with 4G, with cloud managed solutions, best in class, world leading. And more importantly, these solutions were flexible, they were secure, and they were designed for those markets, those three pillars that Darryl's touched on: the branch, the mobile, the IoT. And that has really, at this point, is really where Westbase-io still recognize that Cradlepoint very much had a North American business only. And we constantly pursued them, and I think it was amazing in the end, but it took some time, and we managed to be in a position where Cradlepoint allowed us to take their products into the European market.
Okay, and in terms of the applications, I think both of you alluded to quite a lot. Obviously, the technology where it can be used, the opportunities moving forward. I think everyone's talking about sort of the combination of 5G, Edge, and IoT. Is that where you see the real sweet spot, or you still see some 4G? I know, sorry to confuse you a bit, but I know that the transition from 4G to 5G is not necessarily that smooth, is it? Because it does require a shift in infrastructure, if you like, a rip and replace.
You need the network. You need the network.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You've got to build that network.
Yeah.
But in certain markets, that's proliferating quite well. But it is different in different markets. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, certainly, and it's a very diverse market out there, and just taking that question around the solutions out there and the industries which they're used, and what we see as the most obvious and attractive applications in UK and Europe right now, it would be primary connectivity, but it's drilling down then into enabling SD-WAN. So there's many SD-WAN solutions, and SD-WAN was the kind of the buzzword, right, a while back, but it's providing enterprise grade remote managed, cloud managed solutions directly to SD-WAN appliances. And naturally speaking, that kind of emerged through the pandemic, where working from home put a lot of pressure on connectivity at home. Connectivity is shared at home, and that's really where primary connectivity really plays an important part from Cradlepoint. And that was driven from products that were designed from the ground up to hit that specific market requirement, but also commercial point. But breaking aside from primary connectivity, it really is so diverse. So we start to see private cellular networks, PCN networks, 5G started to really open up that door. But also emergency services networks. So ESN, the ESN network will be propped up by LTE 4G. So 4G, really does still have a very strong place. And from our perspective as well, we see the emergency services network and emergency services as one of our potential biggest markets, with ESN becoming an increasing priority. We're seeing that in fire services, blue lights. They're especially investing now in solutions both not only the vehicle, but at the head end for stations and for their appliances. And that's similar to police services. And they've been long leveraging the benefits of cellular technology and the Cradlepoint solutions for some time now. And that is really driving, to Darryl's point, really around providing an office on wheels, but actually it's providing a police station on wheels, right? And it's connecting all of those applications and body-worn cameras and onboard systems. But what we're recognizing is Cradlepoint lead the path, and that's really important for customers to be able to invest now, but have a solution that would future-proof and be compatible with ESN and and the approvals, but also that solid pathway, that upgradable path to have 5G if you don't have that already from day one. So as you can see, it's very diverse, and it's very exciting really across all of these markets.
I'm going to plug in a few gaps there, Lee, as well, because
sure.
Of course, education is an absolutely booming market for us, with students having to have operated during COVID from home. So good, secure, performing connectivity grew that market dramatically. The military, when you've got troops that are not in active service, the world has changed. Troops not in active service want to connect with their families. They want to have FaceTimes and video times, and they want to watch Netflix and things like that. So when you've got a whole bunch of troops in a certain place, you need a greater connectivity for them. Things like retail, the ability to set up very quickly and not have to wait for the lines to come in and wait for all the approvals. You can switch on, and 12 minutes later, you're connected to the network. So retail, quick service restaurants, marketplaces. Of course, during COVID, we benefited because the COVID pop-up testing stations were driven primarily by Cradlepoint, which demonstrates the great flexibility and agility. If you get into the heavier environments, things like manufacturing and energy, and these are harsh environments where you need sort of robust technology. And of course, that's coming into its own, and Lee touched on PCN. private cellular networking, that's going to be the next wave. And of course, we're gearing up and preparing for that, where you've got difficult environments where people need their own network. You need special equipment and devices to enable the connectivity. So I suppose the summary is, any place a digital transformation is planned or is happening is a good place for us to be together.
And maybe just as supplementary to understand the 5G market, because obviously all the mobile operators are, if not scratching their heads, they're working out their sort of rollout strategy. And then we've got this sort of the business case for 5G, which is very compelling, as you've outlined. How important is it, and is it happening, that the two sort of run in parallel so that, it is a seamless experience, and you don't have, people stuck with 4G, maybe, their own private 4G phones, and therefore not able to maybe access 5G technology. I mean, just any thoughts on how that landscape will evolve?
Sure. I mean, just from a technology standpoint, what we're finding is the 5G coverage is growing. The networks are advancing, but what we'll start to see is standalone. So SA is a type of 5G service to be switched on, where it will be a true 5G driven connectivity solution direct to the core of the mobile network operator. But just to bring that back, what we have at the moment is something called non-standalone NSA, and that just touches on your point around 4G and 5G, and 4G has a very strong place. So at the moment, what we see is 5G coverage is good, consumer market is thriving, and we're also seeing that in the enterprise space. But the majority of solutions, unless they're private or unless they're specifically driven around a standalone requirement, you'll find that most people are being serviced over a non-standalone NSA network. And why am I mentioning that? Well, actually 4G core is propping that up. So the 4G core is still there, but what we're experiencing is a 5G uplift in performance bandwidth. So effectively we have the 4G core serving us, but then we have the 5G technology giving us that uplift in performance. Later on, and we're seeing this very much with operators, we will see the introduction, and the same from vendors such as Cradlepoint, where they'll switch on standalone in their software. And then that will naturally just allow even more of an uplift, and start to reap even more benefits around low latency for those markets, but the core will then switch to a 5G core.
Yeah, just talking about that, you're actually referencing the transformation that organizations are actually going through. And there's, just about every customer is looking very carefully at what the roadmap looks like. They're looking for that agility, that ability to switch on and switch off. They're looking to extend their reach, extend the edge, as we've said before. They want a much better customer experience. An example of this is a funny one, but there's a large hardware or home store organization in the UK, and the Saturday when COVID restrictions were lifted and everybody went out, us guys ran off to the home store, and we always pick up a few things. And of course, it was really busy. All the chaps were in there buying their things, and the network went down, and they couldn't take customers' money. But the funny thing was that all the customers were walking around in the store on their mobile phones, and it just showed me that the connectivity using a cellular network is absolutely trusted and there. And corporations are starting to use that. So it improves productivity, the service levels are improved to customers, and of course it mitigates risk of downtime and loss of money. So yeah, you bang on, the transition is there, and all customers are looking at ways to harness it right now.
Absolutely. And 4G as a market is very mature, and it's providing confidence there that the technology is robust, to Darryl's point. And Cradlepoint take it a step further, where you'll see, hopefully from the Cradle portfolio, that you've got products there that will allow multi-SIMs, multiple connections, and a very clever way of managing those connections. So you can even introduce the possibility of having multiple SIMs from multiple carriers and so on. So there is definitely a lot more trust around cellular technology than, let's say, back in 3G.
In fact, that's one of the things, Lee, you've just reminded me, the WAN is converging, and it's all about the 5G, the SD-WAN, the security elements, all converging together. And one of the things we launched very recently is a thing called cellular intelligence. And cellular intelligence is exactly what you've just described. Cell tower connectivity, which is the best cell tower to access gives you asset locations, SIM management, site planning, cellular troubleshooting, speed test history, all that sort of stuff. So this is all inside the Net Cloud Manager suite of management solutions, and that's you were alluding to that, Lee.
Okay, so if I may say so, you've painted a very compelling picture, not just of the technology, but of your two organisations. You know, what you're able to offer for channel companies, therefore, you know, who are excited by the opportunity. What is the process, the onboarding process? Yeah, how do they engage with Cradlepoint, and or, you know, do they go straight to Westbase? You know, how does that process work?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's all of the above. Obviously, Westbase is a contracted distributor, and they would know exactly how to handle things. But from a Cradlepoint perspective, any partner would go via the website. They'd fill out an application to become a Cradlepoint partner. That application is then just going to be sanitized by Cradlepoint, because remember, any partner, we need to sign up a contract because we're dealing with software and intellectual property, and we need to track the Net Cloud Manager licenses. So once that piece is done, our distributors take over and manage the partners. From a Cradlepoint perspective, there is an established partner program with different levels. It's, as I said, it's won some 5-star awards in the US in the last 12 months. So it's a really nice, simple program for partners to become part of. The different levels, you get a signature level or a premier level or an elite level. The more skill and certifications and the more sales that happen, the partner moves up the stack. In between, things like the training, great training program, it's free, so cost of entry is very, very low. And partners tell us that they like the training that's given, a combination of video and online things which they can get through. The more certifications, both sales and technical, as I said, move them up the stack. Then you get things like the deal registration. So any partner that's got an opportunity would register the deal via the partner portal, which is called Cascade. And that enables the partner to get some protection on the opportunity they're working with, and a bit of extra discount if it closes. And there's a few other things as well. There's some lovely marketing assets which the partners can use to generate opportunities or generate business. So once they've gone through the onboarding, connected up with Westbase, they would then be part of the program, and they'd be benefiting from all these different activities that we do. And I'm sure, Lee, you guys do even more than that.
We do. So, I mean, you know, just to touch on that too, because it's great to cover this. In addition to the great support from Cradlepoint, so Westbase-io will bring our own partner toolkit to the partner, and this toolkit offers a number of services for partners, and it's to accelerate their deployments and increase the value of their sales. And, you know, to give some example, this could be device staging and kitting, so SIM kitting, hardware kitting, assisting with configuration, and that's so that the partner's solution can be rolled directly out to their customer and have that out of the box experience. But what we will also do is, you know, part of the team that I head up, so I head up pre-sales, it's very important around education, training, making sure that partner is comfortable. And as Darryl's mentioned, you know, there's a fantastic Cradlepoint training program, which really drives that. And what we can do is just plug those gaps, and particularly, you know, around proof of concepts, and also moving more towards, you know, even providing support perhaps around, you know, NOC service for post after sales support. So we have an after sales technical team, which also backs up, you know, against the Cradlepoint support model as well. But we work very closely with our partners to deliver the right services that they need. But for us, it's really important. It's about enabling the partner to focus on what they do well, but also helping them out by filling in those gaps that they might not be able to have or, you know, fulfill themselves.
Yeah, that's I alluded to it right in the beginning, Lee. The value-added distribution model offers great services to our partners, and we rely heavily on our distribution to do that for us. So yeah, it all works pretty well.
Okay, and in terms, I mean, there's a bit of sort of crystal ball gazing, but if we were going to have a similar conversation maybe in a couple of years' time, what would, you know, both parties hope to be getting? I mean, are you expecting sort of, you know, stratospheric, or is it going to be more of a slowly educate the market and then gradually benefit? How do you both see the partnership sort of working for you, you know, in the next couple of years?
I mean, for Westbase, you know, we're committed to developing really our partners, as I've mentioned, and, you know, their success is our success, right? And so what we want to do is everything that we can to make it possible for them. And that's really a big part of my role in pre-sales, supporting those customers with what they need to achieve, but working very closely with their teams and assisting them if they need to with their end customer. But just going to the channel growth, it's very key. And we're actively recruiting new partners to support this across the UK and Europe. We're not interested though in recruiting hundreds of the wrong partner. And that's really important. We're focused on recruiting the right partners who we can grow, in the longer term and provide that value add. I'm sure Darryl's got some areas that that he'd like to cover too.
Yeah, it is stratospheric, to be honest with you. We'll be seeing our numbers double year on year for the next 5 years. So there's definitely an opportunity there for the partners that see the market opportunity of where the 5G is going to go. I think the ability to deliver proof of concepts, as Lee was alluding to, that's a great capability for the partners to be able to do. We see in Cradlepoint, when a customer gets to see, feel and touch the solution, it's a 92% conversion rate. So the ability for a partner to go and execute that proof of concept or demo is of great value. I think there's various programs to enable and scale the partners more to capture this market as it's coming towards us. As I said in the beginning, we're right at the bottom of the curve of adoption. This is going to run for the next 10 years. Think back of things like firewalls or that was 10, 12 years ago. And where it went. So we're at the real infancy of this. And at Cradlepoint, we believe we're making the market. We're leading out with the 5G message. And we're working very closely with Ericsson, who create the infrastructure. So if you think about it, Ericsson create the infrastructure. We're going to be providing the solutions into the enterprises. So it comes together quite nicely. And it's a very powerful combination. So yeah, we're expecting stratospheric growth as the markets adopt the new technology and the wireless WAN solutions.
Okay, and then from a Cradlepoint perspective, because you're the folks obviously that come up with the ideas and make the solutions, without giving away any sort of intellectual property secrets, what might we expect from you again in that the next 12-18 months in terms of what else? I mean, is there already an established mature portfolio that people just need to lock into, or are there things you're wanting to do bring to the market over the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, the portfolio in place today is mature, stable, and available. That's a very important point in the current market, is that we do have stock and we do have product that we can sell. And it's quite a stable portfolio, as I said, nicely packaged into branch, mobile, and IoT devices, with Net Cloud Manager managing all of that. Now, what you can expect from us in the months ahead is probably a more robust enterprise management capability. We are enterprise class today, but you'll see lots of enhancements in Net Cloud Manager, probably evolving into a product called Net Cloud Exchange, which is a much more enterprise class, robust catch-all for SD-WAN management. So that's probably something to look forward to. The other thing, which is deep in the back office preparation, is of course private cellular networks. Many customers are looking to get some spectrum and run their own private cellular network. So we're looking to design solutions that enterprises that want that can consume in an easy way through our channel go-to-market model. So those are probably two things that are most top of mind that we'll be seeing coming out in the next 12 to 18 months.
Brilliant. And maybe just a final, because I'm a bit greedy when it comes to asking questions, but again, from both of your perspective, if a channel company's clearly got maybe various options they're evaluating, because this is, as I think we've established, is a pretty key technology moving forward. What do you think they need to be looking out for? If they're kicking the tires on various potential offerings, what would you say that some of the crucial things, whether it's dealing with the actual technology side of things from Cradlepoint, or engaging with a value-added distributor like yourselves, Lee?
I mean, the key thing really is making sure that there is an upgrade path for 5G. If that solution does not handle 5G from day one, and that's really focused around longevity. But we touched on emergency services and the USN network, and again for the blue light services, just for example, where digital transformation comes in, It may be to just move from a digital transformation perspective to connectivity in a vehicle and service that with office applications. But there still needs to be that path, because ESN is coming, and there's a shift. There will be a shift around the change of technology that connects these vehicles. And that's really where Cradlepoint provide a very powerful offering, in the sense that you can pick and choose depending on the vertical. So we're talking about mobile right now for vehicles, but you could look at a branch solution for primary connectivity. You could look at an IoT. They're available in different sizes, different levels, and different feature sets. But you'll find specific products that hit those specific markets do have that upgrade path. And what I will say from a value-add distributor is, that coupled with cloud management, enterprise-grade platforms, rugged credentials in the mobile range, but also having very lean, very high-value IoT products, it provides Cradlepoint to have a very strong portfolio, and that really does help us as a value add for our partners.
Yeah, that's very well put. I see the opportunity for the partner community is, we know via research that the customers are talking about how they're going to adopt and utilize this new technology. So for me, a partner that goes to his customer and starts asking where they are in the journey, how are they doing, what are they setting up to test, and whatever. Someone who gets in at that stage and is able to craft these solutions with their customers will profit all along the way. So the opportunity is large for partners. We've seen one or two of the largest companies in the US in the last 6 months have gone from failover to primary, using cellular as primary. That's a really big signal to the market. So it's definitely on its way, and it's definitely a wave that we want to capitalize on. So there's good money in it for partners, there's good margin, there's good services, there's annuity revenue opportunities, which is always good for business valuations. So yeah, this is a good time, and portfolio is good and stable. So yeah, good time for partners, I think.
Okay, well, gentlemen, you have given me a lot of your time and some really great information along the way. So Lee and Darryl, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. It's been great.